Welcome in, everybody, to the Kensington Toboggan here at Kensington Metro Park. It's playoff time. The Discraft Great Lakes Open is underway starting tomorrow. We have Natalie Ryan first off the bat in the press conference this week. Natalie, defending champion, how does it feel to drive through the gates of Kensington back to the Toboggan?
Wonderful. Honestly, I didn't expect to be here. So now that I am, it's such a breath of fresh air.
You mentioned to me that last year when you won, that was your first time seeing the Toboggan course.
Yep.
There's obviously been a lot of changes made this year. Mm-hmm. Go back to your initial feelings when you played the original course that you played last year for the first time.
So I really, really enjoyed how open and freeing the course was last year. There was no real OB anywhere that was, forced or anything like that, and I very much enjoy courses that are that way. Now that they've added a ton this year, so it feels a little more constrained, a little more tight, which isn't bad by any means. It's just different.
How many strokes harder would you say the course plays this year compared to last year?
Maybe only one or two. I don't think the OB is really going to come into play too much on most holes. Maybe a couple, but not too many.
So are you saying that your strategy might not change much from last year, or are you making some tweaks to decision making?
There are a couple holes I'm playing differently, but not many. Most of them are going to be exactly the same play I had off the tee last year.
Well, I have to ask you a question because I watched you at Ledgestone throw nearly a 390-foot lefty backhand, which I was not aware that you were throwing. Where is that coming from? How much work have you put into the offhand? We're seeing more and more players start to experiment with it.
So in the off-season, I knew that I was going to have an incredibly long off-season. So I started to put a lot of time into the offhand. In addition, my back at the time was a little bit messed up and I couldn't throw righty. So I was already throwing lefty just to get out. And I kept doing it and kept going, and it just kind of progressed. And 400 hours in a field later, I'm where I'm at.
So partially out of boredom, mm-hmm. but also partially maybe you realizing that it might be a valuable skill moving forward.
Yes. I would rather have a good lefty and righty backhand than a righty forehand combo. It's just better on the body.
So you're just saying just balancing strain, you'd like to ideally balance out the lefty. Well, with that said, coming out to this course, there's a lot of long elevation shots where a left to right shot isn't too bad. Mm-hmm. Are you throwing the lefty out here?
Yep. I'm definitely throwing it on hole one, potentially on another 3 holes. I still haven't quite decided yet. I'm going to go walk them and figure that out after this.
What is the depth of that lefty backhand? Are you just throwing long hyzers with it? Are you shaping it? What are you fully using it for?
So I can't quite shape it yet. I'm getting flat to slight hyzer releases pretty consistently, so I'm using that shot as just the stock shot that I throw basically everything with right now, and just changing the disc to try and get it to fly differently. Past that, I mean, it's just don't go left. That's what I throw it for now. So if it won't turn over, just fade out. And, yeah.
Well, then let's talk about just more specifically this year's course, mm-hmm. how the course is laid out. You said 1 to 2 strokes harder. How have your practice rounds been going? How's the game been feeling?
Game's feeling a little rusty, if I'm honest. My hyzers aren't quite feeling too great, but everything else seems to be in working order. I've been working on my putt a lot this week to try and get it back to where I need it to be, so I'm feeling pretty good. We'll see. Maybe it'll all just connect whenever the tournament kicks off, but yeah.
Is there any nerves coming back here as the defending champion? Do you feel like there is a target on your back to have to defend your title?
Well, there's always a target on my back, but yes, there is a little bit more because of the title that I'm going to have to defend. But I'm open to it. I'm up for it. I think that's a better target to have. So
would you say you're excited to come back here and defend the title? What kind of numbers do you feel like are going to be shot out here at the Toboggan? What's going to be the hot round? What do you feel like you have to aim for?
I never really aim for any numbers specifically, especially when I'm practicing. I don't keep score or nothing like that. So if I had to guess, I'm going to think 4 to 5 under, I think would do well for each round. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about how you prepped for this tournament to defend the title. What does your field work look these days? I mean, you do a lot of field work. You spend a lot of time in the field, probably more than a lot of other players who are maybe practicing more just course management on the course. Mm-hmm. You like to get the reps into the field. What does that look like nowadays?
It's looked like the same thing it's always looked like. I I go out, I throw my whole bag, I bring a few extra discs that I'm trying to learn as backups, throw those too, try and hit specific lines that I want to try and throw with those specific discs. And as I'm done throwing my bag and all of the discs I've brought out to throw, I take my bag out, put it in the center of the field, and then throw up shots to that bag with all of the discs from where they're lying.
So more execution practice rather than filming the technique these days.
Yep.
Is that just kind of a mid-season thing in general, or are you switching back in the off-season to doing more form work or anything like that?
Yeah. In the off-season, I definitely do a lot more filming, more slow stuff, really trying to nitpick and pick out the things that I definitely don't do right. During the season, though, I kind of just make sure I keep things sharp and good to go.
Keep it simple. Mm-hmm. I see you're wearing the Neptune gear.
Yes.
This season, I don't know if Neptune has a full lineup of discs. What are you throwing? What does the bag look like these days?
So I have a partial bag with Neptune. I have a putter mid-range, fairway driver, and a driver. So I have all of those. All of my putters are the Splash. It's a new putter from Neptune, and loving it. Honestly, it's my favorite throwing putter probably nowadays. I have a couple mid-ranges from them. I got a fairway driver that's honestly kind of just a little bit of a scramble disc, and then the Squid from last year, which I had at this event.
So then, outside of that, how many other molds are you carrying to fill in gaps?
Probably only like 7 or 8. Not too many. I try to keep it pretty slim on the number of molds. I like to throw the same stuff off the tee, just with different varying levels of beat in, but yeah.
Has that been how you've kind of always approached the game, or were you, when you were just getting started, were you throwing a lot more molds, kind of experimenting?
When I was brand new, I was definitely throwing everything. I mean, I picked a new disc, then tried it out in the field, didn't like it, put it away. But nowadays, I have 3 Felons, I have 3 FDs. Like, I really try to slim down my fairway driver lineup, my driver lineup, and try to keep it tight so that I can have a little bit more, I guess, comfortability with those discs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then let's zoom into the course changes yet again. What are some of the more defined changes that have come about this year that you've had to make the most adjustments on?
Hole 8 comes to mind, probably the most. Last year I was going with a mid-range turnover, and this year I'm probably not going to do that because the mid-range it's been pushing the back. It was pushing the back edge last year, and now that it's OB, I think I'm going to play a little bit of a safer shot, maybe go lefty off the tee. So
other than the lefty, is the rest of your game from a skill arsenal standpoint very similar to last year?
My forehand has probably deteriorated a little bit because of all the work I've been putting into my left hand. It's been kind of on the back burner for a while, so the strength and the finesse that I had with it isn't quite there.
How many are you actually planning on throwing this week? Any?
2 or 3 maybe off the tee. There's a couple holes where I have to throw too far downhill to use my left hand yet, so still have to use that.
Well, perfect. Natalie, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck out there. I know there's probably still some more practice you want to put in, so we'll let you go.
Thank you.
We'll be right back in just a few. Welcome back, joined here by the defending champion of the event, Calvin Heimburg. Calvin, we're back at the toboggan. How do you feel pulling into this parking lot again?
I feel good. Maybe a little tired. We're on a stretch of three events in a row, but I'm feeling good. The course is mostly the same. There's a couple changes and some new OBs, but for the most part, the game plan's very similar to what it was last year.
Interesting. I've been hearing a lot of chatter amongst the players, and some are maybe hyperbolic in their description of how extreme the changes are. So you feel that they're not that invasive, or they're not changing the holes that much?
I don't. Yeah, for me, it's not really changing my game plan on most of them. I mean, there's a couple new pin placements where I obviously have to change the way I'm attacking the hole. But as far as the OBs go, they're in places I wasn't intending to go before anyways. So it's just, still trying to throw the same shot as last year. And, if I do that, then I'm not going to be challenging that OB. So I don't feel like the course plays, it'll play harder just because when you do mess up, you're going to get punished with an OB stroke. But I don't think really the way it's attacked is very different.
Do you feel like it's justified to put the OB in some of those spots to punish shots that don't go where they're at least intended?
Yeah, I mean, some spots I definitely like it. I like where they put them. I can think of, hole 8 was a shorter par 4 that I'm pretty happy with the OB there. I think it was a little too simple, and last year we were all chucking big skippy hyzers out left, and it just opened up a really easy approach. So that's a pretty good one. Trying to think where else. Right side of hole 3 should probably mitigate some backups, and avoiding people just having to try to scramble out of the thick rough. But yeah, I mean, as a whole, it's just all those lines are in places you didn't want to be anyways. So
I wanted to ask about hole number 18, actually. This par 4 looks like a monster.
Yeah.
Does the longer pin placement and making it a par 4 change the way that you attack that one?
Yeah, that hole is probably one of the tougher ones on the course now. I feel like I have to land in a pretty good spot to even want to attack the green. So it's definitely very possible that I end up pitching my way up that fairway because there's OB everywhere, and if you're not in just the right spot, you can easily take a bogey just getting hyper aggressive.
And I was walking it up today and saw, the landing zone is where the old pin used to be. Do you think you're going to see a lot of players that land on the slope trying to still go for the green?
I never really know, but I would think if you're still on the slope going up, you probably shouldn't be. I don't think there's really a clear line to the basket from that far back. So unless someone's really trying to push for something, I doubt you'll see anyone going for it from that far back. I think typically you're going to want to be about pin high or even farther, and then on the left side of the fairway to want to actually attack the new pin placement.
Should definitely create some excitement late in the tournament, players trying to go for the green on the slope. Wanted to zoom in just on your season as a whole. I mean, you've had some solid wins. You've come in second numerous times this season. I want to just ask you, you've had a couple of really close calls recently where you've gotten second place or just dropped off the victory. Where do you feel like you've been bleeding the most strokes recently?
I think it kind of varies event to event. I don't know that I've had a consistent thing that I can necessarily point out that's been the same every single time. But yeah, it's just, getting out there, focusing at all times, and then just always remembering every little stroke does count. So I don't know. I can't think of one given thing, but it's just they all add up.
Well, let's talk about the course itself. And yeah, every little shot does matter out here. Where do you think players on this course are going to lose the most strokes?
I don't know. I think maybe this year it'll be, playing a little too aggressive and going OB, but I also just I don't think this course, I don't think you just lose. I don't really feel like you lose strokes out here. I think most of the time you give them away doing something stupid. So I feel like, distance is, key out here. And, if you find yourself at the edge of your distance range, maybe you just, play for 2 shots to get up to the basket instead of 1, if there is OB close. So it's just, being smart and just knowing this course is long and, not overexerting yourself or putting yourself in worse positions than you need to be in.
I want to highlight something. Your ace that you hit at Ledgestone made the SportsCenter top 10 recently. Is
Yep.
that your first time making ESPN?
Yeah, that was my first time making that. It's pretty much only ever aces for disc golf on there, so that's first time my ace had made it on there. So that was pretty cool.
When did you find out?
I got a text message from a friend who he let me know that I made it on. So that's how I found out, and then I went and looked it up. So
I want to ask about this point in the season. You said you're on a huge stretch of tournaments right now.
yeah.
A lot of players look like they're either catching a second wind or they're definitely feeling the heat of having to travel so much and play so much. How are you individually feeling right now at this point in the season?
I'm feeling pretty good. Currently a little tired and hungry because I just got off the course. But I feel pretty good. I've really spent this year taking every event, one event at a time, and just trying to play the best I can at the event that I'm at and not really thinking too far ahead or really that far in the past. So I'm feeling really good, and I feel good going into the last little stretch of the season.
Have you found it difficult in the past to not get overwhelmed with how much travel and competition there is?
Yeah, I think, sometimes it's easy to, start looking at like big picture things or just even, spending too much time thinking about, the events you've already played, and, you lose a little bit of focus for the event that you're actually at. And, if you're not really focused when you're here, you're not going to play the best you can. So it's really just been trying to segment each event as its own thing this year and play the best I can.
I remember hearing Missy Gannon say at Ledgestone that she, at this point in the season, was only playing like one practice round a week before the tournament. Is that similar for you? Have you kind of limited the amount of practice you've done?
No, I've still been cranking out a bunch of practice rounds. I got in a few for this event, so I'm feeling good. Like, if I was physically feeling tired, I probably wouldn't be. But currently I'm physically feeling good, and so I feel no reason to change what my strategy's been.
Well, we're here in Milford, Michigan. Sounds like you're hungry after a long round out here. What's on the menu for lunch today?
I think I'm going to some deli. I'm not sure what it was called, but my friends are already headed out there, so I got to catch up.
It's sandwich time. All right, Calvin, we'll let you go, and good luck out there. We'll see you.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back. We are joined here now by a recent champion on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, winning last week at Idlewild, Valerie Mandujano. Valerie, it was great to see you back in the winner's circle. How are you feeling after last week?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a lot more confident, if I had to say, just because once you do it, you know it's possible.
Were you doubting your abilities coming back? Were you feeling not as confident as you were last year?
I think so, and I think it was pretty normal to feel not as confident as I did when I left, just because I had such a short amount of time to be an elite disc golfer. I had like a month to prepare from the time I got the okay to start playing to playing DDO, and for me that's not a lot of time and not a lot of reps, especially trying to take it slow coming from an injury.
Well, and DDO, not necessarily a good course to come back to with how long and windy it can be.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm sure it was good experience and good reps to kind of get back in the swing of things. When you approached Idlewild this year, and obviously you won, which was fantastic, how different did you see the game in general compared to previous years that you've been there?
I knew I had to be on my toes and on my A game to score and to play the way I'd like and the way I know you have to be able to be in the top 5. So I felt like, in a way, I couldn't let anything slip up. I knew even if I was scoring good 16 holes, the 2 holes, 17, 18 could get me. So I had to keep everything pretty tight compared to, I think, previous years, me going into it feeling like, well, we'll just see where I go. We'll just see where I get. Because I knew it was very hard for me to win before.
So you felt more of a sense of urgency almost last week and were maybe harder on yourself? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think so, but I think that's me in every event. I think it just depends on the course.
Well, I want to say your documentary came out coincidentally right after the victory, which was perfect timing. The documentary was fantastic, and you shared a few things that I was very curious about. You speak a lot in, like, metaphors. Mm-hmm. You love to speak that way. I think a lot of athletes do. Mm-hmm. Is that something that has always been a part of your journey as an athlete? Do you enjoy, like, little quotes and pieces that you carry with you?
For sure. I definitely do think that I started speaking that way just because I started trying to have that mentality of thinking in the future and, yeah, just, like, thinking like a professional athlete. Because, like, when I knew disc golf was the way I wanted to go, I started watching nothing but, the top player videos. I started watching a bunch of documentaries on a bunch of athletes. So that was one of the things I've also talked to Corey about when he proposed to me about having a documentary. I was like, that's my dream to have my own out there. So that would be awesome. But yeah, I do think that definitely is the reason why I do speak in metaphors.
Well, again, it was a great documentary. I just wanted to ask you, not many people can say that they've had a camera crew following them around, not just on the course, but just in their daily life. How was that process for you? Was it kind of awkward at first? Did it take a little bit of time to get used to?
For sure. It was definitely awkward. I felt like I was almost hosting somebody in a way. You don't truly feel at home until that person's kind of gone. But it feels normal with Corey after a while. He's a good friend, so he's definitely a person that's easy to have a conversation with, and I also tell him this all the time. Like, I have to be careful when we're doing interviews, is I feel like I put too much into it, where I'm like too freely in the way or what I talk about, where I'm like I have to tighten up what I talk about because it's the camera. It's not just a friend conversation.
It is funny that you have to turn the filter on when the cameras are on, and sometimes doesn't feel like the camera's there.
Oh, for sure.
I guess that's the sign of a good producer as well. So
yeah, I definitely think so.
So overall, you enjoyed the process, and did you enjoy the final product that came out?
I definitely enjoyed the process. I feel like I got over the little nerves that it brought. And yes, I loved it. I love the way that the documentary came out. It shed some tears to my eyes, and it surprised me because he showed me a little clip of what he was sending out. And I cried on the course, and I tried not to, but I did. And I also cried in the documentary, which I was pretty, shocked that I cried for the second time. But I think it just showed how much emotion I had during that injury.
Yeah, I listened to you talk in the movie just saying, you weren't sure if you were ever going to get to come back at the same, with the same momentum that you had in the previous year. Once you started playing again in DDO, did you still have to fight those feelings of not coming back to full form?
I think it was a little bit different. I think I knew that I was going to be in disc golf and like I was going to continue to try to be a professional. I just knew that it was going to be a lot harder than what I expected. I think it hit me, realization hit me at that moment.
So then when you practice nowadays, now we're here at the playoffs, we're at the toboggan, long course, what does your practice look like? Are you now maybe resting a bit more, or are you kind of putting your foot to the gas and practicing harder than ever?
I feel like I'm putting my foot to the gas and trying to practice harder than ever. Because I feel like last week at Idlewild, that's what I did, is I put the pedal to the meadow and I played the whole round. If I felt like I needed more extra shots, I'd go throw on the field. Or if I needed to really dial down a shot on the course, I'd go and throw that shot multiple times. Versus I feel like me coming into disc golf again, the middle of the year, after the injury, I was kind of being very cautious and I was, minimizing my shots, and I was like, okay, 2 throws, a hole. And I feel like something about Idlewild was like, no, I need to get more reps in. That's all I told myself, is more reps is the better, even if you're tired, because if you don't have enough reps, you're not going to play good anyways. Like, I'm not going to get the practice that I really need. And I feel like even now, I played this course twice now. Once we're done here, I'm probably going to grab some food and go throw in a field.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to ask you a couple more things. First off, your sister Alexis has been having some great showings as well, and I know there have been some tournaments where you haven't gotten to play with her, but now you've been playing on same cards with her multiple times this season. How proud of Alexis are you at her progression?
Oh, I'm extremely proud of her. I'm probably her #1 fan at the same time, I love seeing how far she has come, and I think that's why it hits me a lot harder when she's not performing the way that she would love to. And when I'm playing with her, that's the hardest part about, being related and being able to travel with each other, just because I get to see how much work she puts in behind the camera, but nobody else gets to see that. And when she's not playing her best, that's what breaks my heart the most.
Yeah. Is it hard to play on the same card as her, especially when you guys are playing like a lead or a chase card together? Is it hard to kind of stay single-minded and not root for her every shot?
No, because I feel like I'm a player that I root for all my competitors. I want them to play the best golf, and even if that means, like, I want to beat somebody when they're playing their best golf, not because they got unlucky or they're just not playing well. Like, that's not the golf I want to play. I want to see somebody play to their full potential. And I feel like when we're playing on the same card, if anything, it sidetracks me a little bit when she's not playing the best. When she's playing the best, I'm her biggest fan, rooting for her.
Perfect. Well, I got one last question for you. Let's zoom into this course this week with all these new changes, new out-of-bounds rope. How are you feeling about your chances to take down yet another victory here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
I feel like I have a good chance. If I can keep it in the fairway and make my putts, I feel like I have a good chance to win.
Well, fantastic, Valerie. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing you out there. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
We'll be right back in just a few.
finished the round hot.
Welcome back, everyone. Joined here now by last week's champion, Gannon Buhr. Gannon, you won in the woods, and I think that's a very proud moment for you. Let us know how you're feeling now that the dust has settled.
Yep, all my wins have been at like open courses with lots of OB, like I said. So getting the win in the woods was like kind of just, it proved to me. Also, I mean, obviously I wanted to prove to other people I could play in the woods, but that I have multiple parts to my game that I'm not, and hopefully I can get more wins in the woods. Not that I'm just like a big bomber golfer that can make putts. I want to be able to say that I can have like some amount of touch and hit lines in the woods is what was important for me.
Well, you've mentioned that throwing flat and throwing flex shots is kind of your bread and butter, and that's the style that you like. It feels like at Idlewild you have to kind of throw a couple of hyzer flips here and there. How is that side of your game feeling?
It's all right. Honestly, I'm trying to think of the holes in my head. I don't think I threw like one hyzer flip out there.
You were able to avoid it.
I think I threw. Yeah, I went through every hole in my head. I didn't throw hyzer flip once. Everything was flat or flex. Or forehand.
That's extremely impressive.
Yep.
So just right now, would you say that you're just gap hitting and release points are as dialed in as they could be?
Yeah, I'd rather hit the gap and like kind of be in the general area of where I want to throw. Even if it puts me 30, 40 feet away, I'm fine with that, as my circle 2 putting's been really good this season so far. So I'm hoping to keep that up rather than, maybe throwing a hyzer flip that could park the shot, but it might not. I might not even hit the gap in the first place, which is kind of the most important part. So I've kind of just been with my game, been trying to get myself the most amount of looks, as my putting's been really solid this season.
Well, I looked recently. I don't think I looked after last week, but your circle 2 was somewhere in the early 40s,
yeah,
which I don't think has ever been done before. I always talk about this with my fellow commentators and just other people in the sport. Do you believe you or somebody else in the Disc Golf Pro Tour in the near future will finish a season 50% or better from C2?
I don't know if it's possible. I think we've reached a pretty good limit on how good putting we can get. You can only be so good, especially with wind factor. I mean, once you get outside of 45 feet and there's a little bit of wind, it gets really tough, because then you are playing with a little bit of air bounces and stuff like that. It's a lot harder. I think I've putted pretty much as good as you can this year, except for 2 tournaments maybe. I know Portland Open, I went 2 for 22, and that was so bad. But I didn't miss bad. They were all just kind of low cage hits or something like that. So yeah, right now I think I'm 43% circle 2, and the next closest is 37. And then there's a whole slew of 10, 20 players within a percent or two. But so I'm kind of hoping just to maintain that the rest of the year.
Well, yeah, I believe you were 9 for 15 last week, which was a solid percentage. You mentioned at some point in the season that you did not like your nose angle with your putt. You were not satisfied with that. Have you corrected that since? Do you feel satisfied with the way the disc is coming out of your hand?
Yeah, it's definitely slightly better. I know at the beginning of the year I couldn't get it flat. I mean, I could, but it just felt really uncomfortable. And it was coming out super nose down, and it wasn't doing well in wind because, tailwind was amazing because it kind of just went all the way to the basket with no effort. But with any other wind, especially headwind, almost as it's in my hand, it's slamming it, because the nose is kind of exposed. So I kind of developed a slight spin putt just in case if it's windy, but I really just tried to keep my putt flatter and maybe just a little bit more hyzer, so it's easier to get the nose kind of more flat instead of nose down.
Let's zoom in this week. We're here at the Toboggan. You mentioned recently that the changes out here at this course have made it play a lot harder, and you enjoy that. How much harder, and what are the big changes out there?
Yeah, I haven't played actually holes, I think 7 through 13, but I've heard they're pretty much the exact same. There's a couple changes, I know I think hole 9's a little bit shorter this year, which I'm a huge fan of, because Deaglow was actually my least favorite course on tour by quite a big margin up until these changes, just due to 0 score separation, it felt like, in the middle stretch of the course, where every hole was 550 par 3, impossible par 4, 550 par 3 with no OB, so everyone just got pars and no one got punished. And now I know hole 1, hole 3, there's so much OB now. I love it because people that are throwing those bad shots and going aggressive will get punished. And I think for myself this weekend, I'm gonna probably play 5 holes for par, or just play the holes to get like a 60-footer and then hopefully make the putt.
In your opinion, how much harder stroke-wise is this course playing compared to last year?
I'd say it definitely depends if the wind gets up. If the wind doesn't get up, it might not change too much. But if the wind's up just even a little bit, I'd say like 2 to 3 strokes harder probably. And it could be more. I mean, I think we're going to see people blow up out here just out of nowhere. That finishing stretch of, pretty much from hole 9 on, I feel like is so hard. Specifically like 15, 16, 17, 18. 16's a new, I guess you could say island hole, but if you cross, you get to take where you crossed in bounds. That's going to be definitely a tough hole. You're going to see a lot more bogeys than we have in the past years. And then 17's obviously super far, a lot of OB. It's just a really far hole. And coming down the stretch, it's definitely a scary tee shot that's kind of hard to commit to. And then 18 it just feels impossible now.
Well, I was going to ask you about hole 18. I asked Calvin the same question. Do you feel like there's going to be a lot of players who still try to go for the basket on their second, even if they're still on the slope?
No. I don't think it'd be stupid, I feel like. I feel like you need to at least get to, like, circle 2 left of the old pin if you want to have a chance to get a birdie. Even then, honestly, unless I'm in perfect position, I'm laying up no matter what, because I just don't want to. Ending around with the bogeys, the worst thing you can do, I feel like. For me, I don't mind taking bogeys in the middle of the round, but to end your round and have to go home and think about, like, crap, I could have saved a stroke, and having to be your last hole, and you could have just laid up. Like, the layup's a guaranteed par as long as you get up clean off the tee, so that's probably what I'm going to end up doing.
Well, it's funny you say that. Having a sour taste in your mouth actually leads me straight into the last question that I have for you. You missed the cut at DDO,
yeah,
and then you won the next weekend. You got 24th at Ledgestone, and then you won. When you go home after those tournaments where you either miss the cut or you shoot way below your standards, what does go through your head? What mindset do you carry into the next week?
It's kind of like a weird, like, never-ending process, it feels like, this season, and I'm hoping to, like, kind of get more consistent, but I'll have a weekend, I'll have kind of a good stretch of tournaments and maybe get a win, and then, I'll almost, like, kind of relax because I felt like, I'm like, hey, I accomplished what I wanted to, and then I'll kind of go back in this cycle of, like, crap, I need to play good again, and I'll have, like, a really bad weekend kind of punch me in the face, and I'll be like, what are you doing again? And, like, you need to really, like, focus on, like, what you're doing wrong in your game, and a lot of that just comes down to filming a lot of shots, just getting the feel right. Obviously, fundamentals are really important for me, and if I can have that and it feel good, I think I can definitely win any tournament out here. But it's just kind of been a rough year. Like, hope like getting that to actually happen is get everything to be timed up perfectly. Because I feel like if I do have a lead, I tend to close out pretty solid. So the issue is just getting there. I need to play good the first 2 rounds, and what's kind of been rough is on some of my rough finishes, I just haven't started that well, and then I get into this like mindset of I need to shoot 16 down to come back and win, instead of just like, hey, win's probably out of contention. I just need to get myself like a nice like top 10, top 5. So probably just change the mindset, take a little bit of my stress off, and just limit the bogeys. That's been big for me recently. Is just playing really safe.
Well, Gannon, we'll see you out there this week. Good luck. A lot of people rooting for you. We'll see you out there.
Thanks.
We'll be right back in just a few. Welcome back, everybody. Joined here now by Missy Gannon, recent Ledgestone champion. Missy, it's a busy stretch of the season. We talked to you last week in Kentucky. Now we're here in Michigan. It's playoff time. How are you holding up?
Good. Yeah. I like I've said, I try to, take care of my my body and my mind, and especially during this stretch of the season, I really have to be more aware of how I'm feeling, and and just try to do everything I can without overdoing it.
Well, overdoing it almost feels inevitable at this stretch. We start almost an endless string of 4, 5-round tournaments. Yeah. I know you talked about conserving energy, not playing that many practice rounds earlier in the season. What do you do now? How much are you really getting to put in good practice?
Yeah, so I mean, I did only get I got one full practice round in this morning, and last night I came out and just played the holes that changed. And so, while I only got one full practice round in, it's not that I'm just throwing, one shot and then I'm moving on. It's still a very involved practice round. I throw multiple shots, and it's just more, it's kind of consolidating multiple rounds into just one. So if I need to go and rethrow a disc, I'll do that. I say conserve energy, just meaning if I do only play one practice round, it's very involved and very thorough. So it's kind of nice. I get to conserve energy, but still feel very prepared.
Let's zoom in on this course in general. I mean, this year, obviously, we've had a lot of changes. But overall, throughout the years, what are your overall sentiments about the toboggan course?
Yeah, it's it's iconic. It's so many big events have been played here, other than the Disc Golf Pro Tour event. AM Nationals and a few other things have been played here, and so it's always nice coming back to Discraft land. A lot of fans, a lot of cool things going on, new releases. Getting the team together, and it's always it's much like Ledgestone in that sense, where we kind of feel special as Discraft players. So it's this course is always kind of beaten up on me a little bit, and so I think it's always fun to come back and try to see what I can do better.
Well, you'd like to see the same courses you saw last year and make adjustments, but now you come back and there's tons of changes. Reflect on what you've seen out there and maybe some of the spots where you're going to have to put a little bit more effort into. There's a lot more OB, but it was OB that made sense. I think that being a more open course, I think having more OB is a good thing, and it was really in taller rough grass anyway. So visually it looks a lot better. I think pace of play will be better, and I think I heard Calvin say, it didn't really change anything for my game plan. I think that, yes, it will punish people for throwing bad shots, but in the grand scheme, you didn't want to end up there anyway, like he said. So, it's nice. I think they're great changes. I think 18 is going to be tough even for FPO. So we'll see how people attack that. But I don't know that it's going to be. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I think tomorrow is not going to be a very good representation of how this place is going to play, because I think we're going to get some crazy wind and some rain, as far as I could tell. So, I think it's just about playing smart and being a little bit more conservative than you might want to be. Well, we also don't normally play 4 rounds here, and not only are we playing 4 rounds here now, we have those changes. The course is longer. How much does physical fitness play into lasting a tournament here?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is going to be, we had a 4-round event at Ledgestone, but I think that it's different. That one's almost more mentally taxing. This one is both. This one is physically and mentally taxing. I already feel like I have a bit of an advantage having Tom on the bag and being able to take that literal weight off my shoulders, and then also just helping me mentally through the round. It's always nice to have Tom there, and so I'm really going to be leaning on him in many ways this weekend. And yeah, it's just making sure you're eating well and hydrating and just taking deep breaths up those hills.
Hopefully Tom did his squats and he's prepared his legs for the onslaught that's coming up this week.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you, though, I saw you after Ledgestone, after you won. You looked like you had really high energy levels. Like you looked physically and mentally with it after all the rounds at the tough courses. Do you have a fitness routine mid-season, or is playing all these practice rounds enough?
I mean, playing these practice rounds is enough. You don't want to overdo it. I mean, I try to make sure I stretch really well, and I have 2 dogs, so we're always trying to entertain them in any way. So that's kind of my field work right there. I'll go out to the field, I'll throw all my discs, my dog will go and retrieve them for me, so I'm not doing quite as much work as I would have to if I was just in the field by myself or with Tom. But it's that's sort of my physical fitness, is just trying to make sure my dogs are also happy and getting their running in. And it's nothing too crazy during the season. So again, it's all about just like listening to my body, doing the recovery that I need, ice, heat, massage, all that stuff is definitely more important to me during the season.
Well, let me ask you one more question here. I know you said that it feels good to come to Discraft land, so to speak, and all the players are kind of buzzing around. The factory is just down the road in Wixom. Have you gotten to go to the factory? Have you gotten to kind of look through the shelves? How is that process, and how has that been this week for you?
Yeah, I've definitely been there already. It's been awesome. I feel like so many people were there yesterday, and we were just, they've done some huge expansion, and it's really cool to see the sport growing through the eyes of the manufacturers and being actually at the factory where they produce discs and all the molds, and it's really fun to see the big, barrels of plastic bits, and just watching all the machines work, and then being there with all the Discraft team members and managers and all of that, and we'll be there tonight, and it'll be a good time.
Well, there's certainly a lot of Discraft fans in this area because of the factory being so close to here. Missy, we'll see you out there this week. Good luck.
Thank you.
With that said, we are going to be back in just a few. Welcome back. We are joined here now by major champion this season, Corey Ellis. Corey, we haven't gotten to see you recently on the course, and probably bumming a lot of people out, but I heard there was an injury. I'd love some more details. How's everything going?
During Ledgestone practice round, I kind of tweaked something in my hand and a little bit of pain going on with it. Throughout the tournament, it seemed to be okay once I started throwing. I got some, alleve in me and, just trying to play through it, and during the third round, I threw a shot and had pins and needles go through my like hand and wrist, like right in my thumb, like that side, and tried to play the rest of the round, but like had loss of grip. Everything just released early, and since then, Seth with Disc Golf Strong set up some physical therapy for me, and I did some dry needling that seemed to really help. I haven't thrown many shots. I've only thrown a few putters just to let it rest, as that's what they said the best option was. So that's what I've been doing, and I can tell that it's not 100% yet, and I don't want to push anything going with Worlds right around the corner like that. That's the priority, It's a tough decision because I've really wanted some revenge since last year, losing in the playoff, and even the year before being really close. So it was a tough decision to make, really, to drop out of this event.
Well, of course, and you came so close last year, and it was one of those great finishes that you were a part of, multiple that you were a part of last year. I want to ask you a question, though. Being on tour full-time makes it almost impossible to line up any sort of medical appointment. You have to almost get lucky and book an appointment in a different state and hope that whatever insurance you have works. Have you gotten to get an MRI and get everything X-rayed, or has it been just hard to schedule?
No, I haven't done any of that. They at the physical therapy, they said that it should just be some inflammation that's inside that's causing it to hit a nerve, and that's what's causing the pins and needles. So letting it rest is really the best option, because the tests that they did, moving me around and stuff, they could tell that it wasn't like a tendon issue or something that would require an MRI or something like that. But
just haven't gotten one yet.
Yeah, I just haven't got it.
Hopefully it heals. I think there's a lot of people that after watching you win in Europe, they were stoked to see you out there again. That type of an injury in the wrist, is that just overuse from just grinding so much? But
yeah.
After the win, were you just pedal to the metal harder than ever?
It seemed like it was nonstop after that. I got back from Europe, I had not even 24 hours at home, and then went back to Michigan, and then we were in Chicago, and then straight to Ledgestone. It was just nonstop. So it's not really like your body's really getting rest that it needs, And since then, I've definitely gotten some good rest and just hanging out with friends, and caddied for Nate last week, and I'm not gonna caddy this week. I think with Worlds, just 2 weeks away, I'm gonna head home this weekend. Eventually, I'll be here for a few days, but just get some time at home to recoup.
I jokingly was talking to Molly just after the European Open, and she kind of joked with me, and she's like, one of these days he's going to take a break, and this was before the injury, and then that happens. Do you almost feel like it's a blessing in disguise to kind of force you to slow down, or are you still kind of kicking yourself to get out there?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a blessing in disguise, but that's just the competitor in me, Maybe from the grand scheme of things it is, and that's things happen for a reason, just like everything else, So hopefully, I think I'll be ready for Worlds. I've said before, I don't like to compete in an event where I don't believe I have a chance to win. So if I start the event, I feel like I can win, and I'm coming for Worlds.
Well, I'm hoping that you're coming for Worlds, and a lot of people are excited to see you at another major championship. I want to zoom out real quick, though. How are you as a caddy? How would you rate yourself as a caddy?
I think that's a question for Nate. You know, I think I overheard him say that he might not have cashed without me on his bag. So I like to think, you know, I bring to the table, you know, experience as a competitor and, you know, I guess as a major champion now, and understanding pressure situations and how to handle yourself and stay calm. I think that was the biggest thing I helped Nate with.
Well, I want to ask you a question about those pressure situations. I mean, we saw Culver Dolan at Ledgestone in really that position for the first time in his career, and he did push through and take down the victory. How hard truly is that to do in your very first time in that position?
It's immensely hard, and the kid to be so young, you know, he's never even won an A tier. It's so impressive to see. I think that, you know, it's just experience, and he's been on tour for 2 years now, and really he's been on some league cards and been in contention some and not quite got there, and this time it was just incredible to see. I will say, however, that I think that had Calvin been on the lead card, he may have seen him throwing those and executing those shots, and pressure could have switched. So not to say that he wouldn't pull it off, but, you know, nobody knows, you know.
Well, he also said that he wasn't checking scores
Exactly.
whatsoever, so it probably played to his benefit.
Yeah.
Not doing that so early. And I ask you this question because you have put yourself in this position time and time again, and you finally came out on top recently. When it comes to Worlds, you're obviously resting. Are you going to try to put any practice in leading up to that event, or do you feel like it's just going to be healing time?
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely going to. Next week is when I'm going to start really throwing. I feel like it's almost ready, and I just really didn't want to have a setback before Worlds and then be injured playing Worlds and not have that confidence. Yeah. Same reason, like, I didn't play this week is because I just tried to let it heal as long as possible, and then I was going to throw yesterday, but it just rained all day, and I was like, you know what, that's a sign, just it's telling me to not do it. So.
Well, I ended up seeing you at the Discraft factory. I was shooting some content there and saw you out there. There's a lot going on with you in Discraft, and it seems like everybody loves going to the factory. Everybody loves interacting with the staff there. What has your experience been like going up to the factory and kind of interacting with the people there?
Oh, it's just a big family there. You know, everybody's so nice, and it seems like I'm happy. You know, everyone's happy to see me there, and I'm happy to be there. It's always just like Christmas when you go in there, you get to pick through discs and stuff. It's a great time. If I can say so, Friday we are having a drop for my commemorative disc. I am not sure of the time or where yet, so be on the lookout for that, but the Z Metallic zone is coming on Friday.
Make sure to set your timers, folks. Corey, thank you so much. We'll see you out there this week.
Thanks, Brian.
We'll be right back in just a few. Welcome back. Now joined here by Isaac Robinson. Isaac, we're here at the toboggan again. You've come here a few times before. How do you feel pulling into this parking lot again?
I like, from just looking at it, I like the changes they've made with adding OB to holes. You know, I haven't played a full round yet, but holes 1 and 2 are looking a lot. 1, 2, and 3 are looking a lot tougher with OB.
I've heard from multiple players this week that they haven't played a full practice round yet, and it's Wednesday. The tournament starts tomorrow. What is that? Is that just the point in the season that you're in?
Yeah, I think everybody might be going through a little burnout, feeling a little tired. But I think also the weather had a lot to do with it. It was rainy the past 2 days, and it was just terrible practice conditions. It's almost impossible to practice in weather like that. So I think people just took time and rested.
See some inclement weather potentially in the radar for future rounds here. Do you ever go out when the weather's really bad and play practice rounds, or is that just too draining at this point in the season?
Oh, man. I know I should. Rain. I feel like anytime rain comes, I don't have a game plan, and I kind of scramble around. So I definitely need to get out there and practice in the rain, but it's just so hard to get that motivation because it's just going to be miserable the whole time.
Well, I heard you over back with Corey Ellis joking that there's no way you're going to win this tournament. I think more negative things have been said prior to a victory. Was that a serious statement? Like, how do you feel about your chances out here?
Yeah, I'll let you know when I play a full practice round, but I think it's not a game. It's not a course that suits my play style a whole lot. I'm not one of the big throwers. I'm more mids and putters if I can. So I think my game plan, if it's anything like the course last year, I'm going to be playing the front 9 as best as I can, hopefully be 4 or 5 under, and then just kind of holding on for the back. I think the back has a lot of teeth, and so I'm going to be playing safe, and I'm going to take the birdies if they come. But you know, it's not a course I'm going to be getting incredibly aggressive at.
It seems like, at least from my perspective watching you play this season, you love to reach for anything, 9 or 10 speed and below. That's like kind of your bread and butter. How do the distance drivers feel this week? It seems like you're going to have to pull them out at some point.
Yeah, they're feeling good. I have them if I need, and it's not so much like the comfortability throwing them. It's just I physically don't know if I have the distance to get that 500, 550 every single throw out here. But I can get it out to 480, 500 if I need to on a good throw, and I think that's what I'll be throwing a lot of those.
So are you saying that there's a few holes out here that a majority, not a majority, but like a sizable portion of the field are not going to have a good look at birdie for?
I think so. I think, you saw Corey and Calvin go into a playoff last year. I think people like that. I think people like AB, Ezra Aderhold, Gannon, people with a little bit more distance than the average pro will have a really good chance of playing well out here.
Another player that comes to mind that has a shot out here is your brother, who's been throwing fantastic. We watched him throw some super high-level lines with the distance driver back at Northwoods in Eureka. He's been having quite the section of the season. What have you seen from him recently in the way he's been playing?
I've seen his confidence level just go through the roof. At the beginning of the season, he was a little nervous. He had, just quit his job and bought a van to live on the road with his wife. They've only been married a year, so there's a lot of uncertainty there. And I think starting out, he was a little nervous, didn't know if it would work out. But really, just seeing at Ledgestone and even Idlewild, another top 10 finish, and Des Moines podium finish there. His confidence is through the roof right now, and he's playing well. And I've seen him play this well growing up. So it's cool to see him doing it on a bigger stage.
Well, and what is that? Was there a specific occurrence that sparked that confidence in him, or is it just the kind of getting used to the road life and not necessarily going back to a quote-unquote home all the time?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with just the being comfortable on the road and kind of getting a good routine and kind of seeing and correcting your mistakes. I think courses out here are a lot different from your local course, and so learning how to play those courses and playing more difficult courses can take some time. And so I think he's really learned his game and learned how to play out here.
Well, I want to ask you, how are you faring out here on the road? I mean, I see you're still in the Ford Transit Connect.
Yes.
I mean, you've won all these tournaments now, and you're doing well for yourself. How has living in that small van been for the past 2 years? And is there an upgrade on the horizon?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I'm talking with some people, maybe doing some Airbnbs next year, and getting a car instead of a van. So upgrades may be in the works, but the van is great. I love living in the van, and thankfully we missed the brutal part of summer over in Europe. So we got to stay in Europe for the month of July, so that was nice. But yeah, potential upgrades.
I think the heat is one of the big factors out here at the Toboggan. I think a lot of the players recall only playing here when it was 95 degrees and 80% humidity, and now it's quite pleasant outside.
Yes.
How hot do you feel like you're going to have to score to win this tournament? Is it going to be double digits every round, or is it going to be a little easier than that?
Man, I don't know. Like I said, I'll get a better feel when I play the course for the first time. But from what I'm hearing, people are saying like 5 or 6 down is going to be really good. So I don't know. I think if you shoot a 7 or an 8, you're going to be sitting real nice. My goal is probably more towards the 5 or 6.
A lot of people in years past have said that this course is good and it's fun, but the scoring separation is not great. Between last place and first place is some of the tightest scoring that we see. Do you feel like the changes this year are going to change that? Yes, I think the OB, on hole 1 alone, there's OB that's 20 feet from the basket, and you're gonna have, you're gonna have the birdies and you're gonna have your bogeys. So that's 2 strokes right there. I think people are gonna try to go for big shots and pay the penalty for going OB, and so I think there's gonna be a lot more stroke swings and score separation out here than before. Want to zoom out and just kind of ask you overall about the season. This has been a long stretch. There's been a lot of high-level golf being played. I mean, you guys went over to Europe, came back, kept competing. How are you feeling just as a human being at this point of the tour? If I'm being honest, a little tired. It's a lot of tournaments. It's a lot of it's a grind. A lot of people say that. And this year I'm definitely feeling it. This is like the first full year of being fully committed to the road, playing all the tournaments. And I'm very excited for the end. I'm excited to go home. I'm excited to rest. But I'm also very excited for the next part of the season. You have this event, another playoff event, Worlds, USDGC. It's my favorite stretch coming up. So very excited at the same time. So potentially a second wind coming for Isaac Robinson? I hope so. Well, perfect. Thank you, Isaac. And we'll see you out there this week. And good luck. Thank you. We'll be right back in just a few. Welcome back. Joined here now by Ohn Scoggins. Ohn, we're back here at the toboggan course. How are you feeling right now?
Feeling good. I have been practice 3 rounds, even in the rain, but I'm doing it. Sacky out there, so.
You played a practice round out here in the pouring rain. I asked Isaac Robinson if he had ever done that, and he kind of laughed at me. How was that rain round out here?
Oh, terrible. A lot of cleaning. until one point you just like, I don't want to clean anymore. I just gonna throw like that, you know. So, I guess you just have to go through it, you know, because someday might be rain, someday might be sunny. So you just have to prepare yourself.
Do you enjoy the challenge of playing in the rain, or does it feel more like a chore?
Oh, it's torture. I will take windy 30 miles any day than raining. So I just don't like wet and clean towel, clean dishes. Probably the most boring, the most frustrating. And yeah, I'll handle the wind probably better than the rain for sure.
Well, you came off of second place at Ledgestone, second place at Idlewild. You've been playing some great golf recently, but haven't taken down the victory since Mid-America. Where have those strokes been lost? What's kept you from winning again?
It just either my putting good and then my drive not good. And then sometimes my drive good, my putting was not good. It's not like two of them come perfect in the same time. I feel like I have to be good drive, good putt for like 3 days. That I can probably have a chance to win, but either here and there, off this one, on this one, it was just not there. It's just not best round for like 2-3 days straight yet. So.
Well, you have taken some great finishes at some pretty long courses, and you used to always say, oh, I don't throw very far, and you know, I just make it with my putting and my approaches, but you've been driving the disc great lately. You've been leading strokes tee to green on multiple occasions. This week at a long course like the Toboggan, how is the drive feeling?
The drive is okay for me. You know, I feel like I said, like this course, like you can throw far as much as you can, but if you OB, it just doesn't matter much. But for me, I'm just kind of like not throwing far, but if I can be safe and then just throw another safe shot, I can get the same score as the throw far people. I just feel like play placement or play smart in this court is very important, and especially when they add a lot of OB this year. I just feel like it makes it even for people throw far and then people throw short to can make the score the same. You know, like some throw far. Like I practice with my girlfriend, and both of them throw farther than me, but I still get the same score as them at the far hole. So that's why I feel like who throw very accuracy, lay up in a good place, not OB, we will take a very good score this weekend.
Well, we're playing 4 rounds out here, and there's 120 stories of up and down elevation change on this course. How does the body feel? How do the knees and legs feel walking this course up and down?
So far, I feel good. You know, just kind of like drink a lot of water, and like I said, eat healthy. It's helped a lot to make your body just kind of like still have a lot of energy, and also have a good caddy is the plus. My husband have been help me carry my bag here and there, so that's why it probably save a lot of energy from me to like walk up and down and then have to carry my bag. Yeah, I'm very exciting. If I have my husband can caddy for me tomorrow, will be great, because I know I can have a lot of energy to throw like a little bit further tomorrow. So.
How involved is he as a caddy? Does he stay quiet and just let you make the decisions, or is he trying to help you come up with a strategy?
Oh, he is very nervous. He is very nervous. He the one carrying my bag, but he like, babe, throw side arm roll, throw backhand, babe, do this, do that, like lay up, babe. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna lay up. No, I'm not gonna throw side arm roll. I'm like, you better back off. You better back off. He kind of person like he like to play safe, and I'm kind of the person like to play aggressive, and so we just kind of sometimes you'll see in the camera we just like no, like
Does he ever put any ideas in your head that make you have to make a tough decision?
Oh yeah, all the time. Sometimes I want to go for it, and I say, babe, I think it's gonna be OB. If you go for it, I think you need to lay up. I'm like, oh God, I feel I need to go for it, but he's just like, babe, it's gonna be OB, baby. I think you need to lay up. I said, this make me like frustrating, and it changed me to like, what should I do, you know? But a lot of time he helped me with a very good shot, like, hey, he see a different side of the ankle, and he's like, babe, you think you should throw this one? And sometimes I listen to him and it's work well, but sometimes if it's not work well, and I blame him, say, it's your fault.
Well, it seems like it's been working as much as there's some back and forth.
Yeah. The most of
Clearly-
the day, he loved me. He wanna see me play good. He's the one is like a very wanna see me successful. So yeah.
Well, it's clearly been working because you've been podium or better for the past 5 tournaments, and the tournament before that, 4th place. So not too bad for you. But we go into this tournament. It's the playoffs now. 4 rounds here at the Toboggan. What do you think the scores are going to be that win this tournament? This course looks like it's playing pretty difficult.
I just feel like even that, but I feel like whoever play hot score, I think it can be 7, 8 down, or it can be even 10 down. Seriously, like I know that they have a lot of OB out there, but this girl like know how to play disc golf. They practice so many ankle shots. They know how to do even windy or rainy. Like if some of them play hot round, I can see like 10 down, no problem.
And then with that said, for you, is 10 down kind of your goal? Is that the number that you're looking for?
How about 5 down first? How about 4, 5 down first? I mean, even if I can do like 4, 5 down every day, it's probably guarantee me like top 10 or top 8, no problem at all. But like I said, I heard like it's going to windy here and there. It will play harder, but I feel like 4, 5 down should be make you top 10, no problem.
Perfect. Well, Ohn, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck out there. We'll see you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back in just a few. Welcome back. Joined here now by the Media Operations Director of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Sam Gaddis. Sam, you're usually behind the camera or in the media trailer dealing with live view. What's going on in your life right now? What's going on with DGN right now?
Yeah, a lot going on right now. We're just getting started on our playoff stretch here at D-Glow. Really enjoy filming this course. I think it always comes out really nice on the broadcast. planning a lot of stuff for Worlds, USDGC, US Women's, all that stuff. Most of the time I'm thinking about a couple events ahead of where we are. By the time we get to an event, hopefully I've done my job and things kind of start running themselves.
Well, let's talk about some big moves that the Disc Golf Network team and the media team with you have made this year. In regards to cell signal, you guys have done a lot and invested in a lot. Talk to us about the details with that.
Yeah, as many people at home know, our broadcast runs off of cell phone towers, just like your phone does. And so with that comes a lot of challenges if we're in an area that doesn't have great cell phone coverage and stuff like that. Trying to find ways to get the best broadcast quality as possible has always been a challenge. This year, we have invested in this technology. It's called CBRS, and more or less, it's our own private cell phone tower that we can bring around. We pack it up into our trailer, and we set it up wherever we think it's necessary. We literally have our own little SIM cards that we can put into our cell phone broadcast units. If we wanted to do it on hotspots, we could do that too. But basically, really, it's helping us target some areas that we know have bad service, so we can try and bring you more. I think a place that is really people are going to see a difference is we're hoping that this is really going to help us at Maple Hill. Historically, holes 11, 12, and 13 have been a little bit tough to get a cell phone signal out of, and so we're hoping that these antennas that we have are going to be able to help us broadcast there, and we'll be able to shoot some signal down into the valleys there.
I'm hoping we can shoot some signal down in the valley, Sam.
Yeah.
Well, it clearly helped out at Northwoods, which was a place we never thought we could have a live broadcast. We're making the moves happen. And also just a great perspective shift for you. You got to go to a big broadcasting conference this year to meet with other people that are doing the same kind of things that we are. How well is disc golf doing, and how tough is it to film disc golf compared to other organizations or other sports?
Yeah, well, first on the conference, it was a really great experience. It was in Las Vegas. It's called NAB, National Association of Broadcasters. It was really great. It was like our first time as a broadcasting company to really start kind of getting in the mix with a lot of really established companies out there, looking at new technologies that are coming out. Always just trying to improve and up the quality of what we're able to do, and kind of set a kind of a roadmap for the future about where we can go with the way we broadcast. Maybe I'm a little biased just because I do it every day, but I think disc golf broadcast is one of the most challenging broadcasts I've ever been a part of. I've had a background working in live sports before joining the Pro Tour. Things like basketball, baseball, hockey, all the big four sports. And the challenges with filming disc golf are definitely there. The constant motion of our camera operators, they work so hard. They're carrying all sorts of equipment on their back, carrying it all around, especially at a course like this. We always joke at LVC that training for D-Glow starts today in February. So there's definitely a challenging course for our camera operators, but they're up for it. They're a lot of experience, and they know what they're getting into here this weekend.
And with the cameras moving so much and moving with a single card throughout the entire property, how difficult is that from a cell signal standpoint to keep consistent?
Yeah, I mean, so the challenge there is that we're not. If we were just in one space the whole time, we would be able to get internet here one way or another, whether it's a Starlink plugging in. Basically, our challenge is we can't plug into anything. We're completely wireless. All of our cameras are wireless. It's wirelessly transmitting their signal, and so that constant motion is a huge challenge for us when we are dealing with areas with poor cell phone signal, which is why I think the CBRS technology that we have now is so great, because if we do have a course that is like mostly good, but we have like maybe one spot that isn't so great, we can really focus our antennas there, propagate that signal to where we want it to go, and really kind of fill in some of the gaps here. But yeah, no, it's the constant motion, wireless nature of everything, can't be tethered down to anything. Makes it very challenging sometimes, for sure.
In a perfect world, with the way that we do film disc golf, and especially when you get into the woods, you can't have just a bunch of stationary cameras sitting around. What does the future look like? Say the budget opens up and the sky's open and we
Sure.
can get whatever we need to get. What does that look like?
Yeah, the way I see it going forward is to actually have more of those stationary cameras. We've started doing that at a couple events last year. We've already implemented that kind of strategy at Portland this year. So having cameras set up on the greens permanently on courses, I think, is the next step for us to expand our coverage. And that, we really want to focus on scoring. We want to be able to, look at a scorecard and be able to show you, like, hey, they made this putt, hey, they missed this putt, hey, their approach here was really great. And having cameras locked down to certain holes is would allow us to do that, have more comprehensive coverage, cover more players, and really just, the challenge that we are faced with every weekend is telling the story of the tournament. And so having more cameras, more locations like that definitely pushes us in the right direction there.
Well, you were originally known as Catch Cam Sam, and you were shooting all these tournaments, and now you're a little bit more behind the scenes even than a camera operator.
Sure.
Doing a lot more media operations and kind of dealing with the bigger picture. How has that transition been for you, and do you ever miss holding the camera?
I miss it every day. I'm not going to lie. I love shooting. I had so much fun. I shot a lot in 2020 and 2021, and then just the last couple of years, been dialing it back a little bit. I'm feeling a need. Of like organization and logistics and making sure we're set up to be in a place to succeed every time we come to a weekend. And it's a challenge, and I'm learning a lot. I'm really enjoying the work, but yes, I do miss shooting a lot. Yeah.
Well, I think the job that you have is solving some problems for the future, which as our sport grows, we're going to need. What's next for the tour this year? Anything new that we're working on this year?
No, I think at this point of the season, we're really the broadcast team. We're really we're in a groove right now. We're coming to events and we're just executing things that maybe in the past were a little bit difficult, and now the things that we're trying to do are just becoming daily things that we just do every day. So I think for the rest of the season, what you can expect is just seeing more the same quality coverage that you've seen all year. We're gonna have a couple extra cameras at the World Championships. We're gonna add more cameras to MVP and USDGC as well. So you're just gonna see more comprehensive coverage. I think more players, more scoring, more storylines, and more faces that you can see on Disc Golf Network.
Perfect. Well, Sam, thank you so much. We'll see you out there this week, or maybe we won't.
I'll be hiding in the trailer.
We'll see you out there, Sam.
All right, thanks, Brian.
We'll be right back in just a few. Welcome back. Joined here by Nate Heinold. Nate, you were nearly late to your press conference slot. It's as if you have a lot of things going on right now. How's this week going for you?
Yeah, it's good. I went to bed last night at 11:30, and my first email was sent out at 3:30 this morning. So it's just a lot of hours. So there's just a lot going on. We'll have, I think, record spectators this year for a domestic event, and so a lot of people have questions. They want to know where to park. They want to know where to go, and I have people that help me, but there are a lot of people that are very interested in disc golf here in Southeast Michigan.
That's an understatement. We have a ton of disc golf up here in Michigan, one of the underrated pockets of disc golf in the entire country.
Yeah.
What originally led you to want to take control of this tournament as tournament director?
Yeah, really, I played this tournament back in actually a few years. I played it in 2018 when it was a Pro Tour event. Ironically, got last cash. I believe that was the year that Macbeth shot the 18 down, and I just knew that I could make it better. And I think eventually I pitched it to Bob, and Bob was like, "We already wanted you to do it. We wanted someone to, take it over as their full-time gig." And so it really wasn't that hard. Once John was ready to step aside, that's kind of just when Bob volunteered me and I volunteered myself.
Well, I remember the first year you came in, you made quite a few changes to the property and you cut into the woods quite a bit. I mean, hole number 5, one of the iconic holes out here at the course now, brand new a few years ago. Now, even more changes. Talk to me about your methods to making the changes, what you went off of, maybe statistics-wise, and what you're most proud of out here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a joint effort with myself and then Bob Giulio, Mike Wagner, and then this is Jim Kenner's baby. I mean, he put this course in, 25 years ago. It hosted the World Championships back in 2000, and so it was a joint effort. But really, we looked at the statistics, and there were a lot of holes, especially even for FPO, that just didn't play correct to the par. And then a lot of holes were 75% par for MPO, just not super exciting. And I've resisted actually a lot of, let's just add OB out here. And I knew that we needed to add some, but really it was to make it more exciting and to get rid of the 75% par holes. Even for FPO, hole 18 was a few pars and a bunch of bogeys, just super boring for FPO. And I think what we've done is created excitement while still keeping the course fair. I think the most proud, hole 18 is, if you look at the iconic courses on tour, from Eureka to Northwood Black to Maple Hill to Fox Run, those 4 courses in particular all have a par 4 ending with OB at about 700 feet. If you look at the Beast, if you look at Winthrop, they're all about a 700-foot par 4 with excitement in OB. And I think this hole 18 at Toboggan rivals any of those with the changes.
What is that? What is the formula behind that type of par 4? Why are we seeing so many of them?
I think you want to, the Disc Golf Pro Tour and what they do on tour, it's not just about the players, it's about the fans. And the fans want to see excitement. They don't want to see a blowaway, runaway win. People like to, they don't like to watch people suffer, but they do like to see swings and stroke swings. And that's why a course like Toboggan, maybe last year, the middle of that course, you weren't seeing it. And I think these changes will help that while still preserving the integrity of the competition. You have a course like Winthrop or Eureka. I think people love watching those courses because they're exciting.
Well, let's talk about hole number 18 just again. That's topic of discussion for a lot of the players, trying to figure out who's going to go for what, where. When you made the green and when you made the basket tucked back where it is, what was your vision of where you wanted players to land and where you thought they could get up and down from?
The original idea was to put the basket to the left for MPO, about 75, 80 feet from where it is. And when the clearing was done, Bob looked at it and was like, it's way too easy there. The FPO pin was kind of set, but we realized that it was going to be too easy. And so that's when the decision was made to move it to the right. And then the OB decision I kind of made this weekend and looked at it and kind of tightened it up a little bit, even more than the original kind of how my staff had laid it out. I made it harder just because I think these guys are so good. I played Idlewild back in 2005, and I played at the Pro Tour event back in 18. That course, I would say, used to be really hard, and now, the players just make it look easy, and so we need to keep the courses fair, but we have to make them harder. I just to create that excitement where a 15 down isn't really possible unless you shoot the round of your absolute life.
One last question about 18, just because I'm curious of your thoughts on it. Is it pretty much a prerequisite to get to the green of the previous pin, or do you feel like we're going to see a player get up and down from the slope?
No, I think the ideal landing zone, my intention for the landing zone was circle one of the old pin. If you are short of that, I don't really see how you could get to the basket without throwing a crazy roller. And with the out-of-bounds walls and the VIP tent, I don't see how you're going to see a roller. The old tee, people used to throw rollers sometimes up that hill. Maybe you see a roller for the tee shot, but I think you're going to see a ton of power forehands and probably some hard anhyzers that try to finish left, because that's the best angle for the second shot sidearm. But I do think that second shot is probably going to have to be a right-handed sidearm.
Let's talk about the event in general. Obviously, Ledgestone has tons going on. Amateur players, pro players, spectators. What all is going on here, not just on the pro side?
Yeah, this event is still the second largest event in the disc golf world. So in terms of player count, Ledgestone's number one, but Deaglo's number two. So there's still 5 amateur courses that are full of players. We have side events, signings. We have ice cream and dinners. But Deaglo is more about the spectating experience. Because we can focus everything on one course, it makes it a lot easier to give that true VIP experience. At Ledgestone, you have 3 courses. It's a lot harder to really give the spectators the best possible experience. But here at Deaglo, we focus a lot on, wow, we get to watch some incredible golf on some incredible slopes and hills and toboggan runs, and get to see the players, launch discs off of 50, 60-foot drops.
Well, Nate, I know there's a lot you got going on right now. There's probably a lot more to do today. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you out there this week.
Thanks, Brian.
We'll be right back with one more in just a few. Welcome back. Joined here now by Jeff Spring of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Jeff, it's been a long season, and we start the home stretch, so to speak. It's playoff time. How are you doing?
Doing great, Brian. I can't wait for the playoffs this year. We're going to be here, and then, of course, at MVP. 2 iconic courses, 4 rounds, tons of points on the line. Last year, we saw heartbreak in the playoffs, people shifting up and down the Disc Golf Pro Tour point series willy-nilly. So it's going to be a really exciting final stretch to watch some of the movement. And I'm excited to see how the point system has an effect late. We also have Worlds in this late push. And how is that going to affect the Tour Championship? I know that that's one of the most coveted qualifying events that there is in disc golf. So a lot of players are making that push. A lot of players still in the mix. I'm going to be just as excited probably watching, kind of those cash line and watching the Tour standings as much as like the champions here.
Well, you're here at the Toboggan.
Yeah.
Just an iconic disc golf course. So much history here. And now we're playing a 4-round playoff event here, and the players are saying it's playing tough. In regards to your passion for course design and the future of course design, where does this course stack up, and do you feel like it's headed in the right direction?
Oh, it doesn't need to be headed in any direction. It's iconic. It's fantastic. It's a top 20 course in the world, I think, on everybody's list in terms of professional disc golf. So as the tour evolves, as the players evolve, this course evolves, and I think that that's also a positive because overseeing Brewster Ridge, Fox Run, the courses at the Portland Open, I know that you have to be able to evolve to keep up. We've seen iconic courses of the past, iconic events of the past kind of fall by the wayside sometimes, not being able to evolve. So the evolution of this course is a testament to Jim Kenner and Discraft, as well as, Mike, Bob, Nate, and the team here at D-Glow.
I mean, the course has played well over the years. I'm hearing from the players that the OB could improve the stroke separation, which was potentially the only other complaint that people would have out here. Do you agree that that's going to happen with the new changes made?
Yeah, I think so. I personally love tournaments that are exciting. Top 10, you could have anybody winning on Sunday. So maybe a little bit more separation. I don't know that that's necessarily what the fans want, but maybe it's what the players want and the consummate fan wants. But we have different courses throughout the entire country that produce different results. I'm more of a fan of the tight finish personally, but when a course can be super determinative of those winners and that separation happens, whether it's on a single hole or whether it's across the entire 18 holes, I think that does provide a true champion that maybe can be a little bit clearer cut.
Yeah.
But I think it's different strokes for different folks on that.
True. There's been a lot of talk in the past 2 months on the tour amongst the fans and the players about baskets. And it seems to be the conversation every single year. You see a few players on camera get some spit outs, and people start asking, what is the optimal basket? In your personal opinion, do you like the idea of a basket that catches nearly everything versus a basket that sometimes spits? Where is the fine line there?
I think everyone wants consistency and wants to know that maybe different baskets have different, catching patterns, but that pattern is going to hold up and be consistent on that basket. We also have players that just want one tour basket, and for that basket to be the most consistent, best catching basket that there can be. I've been pretty clear about this when I've talked to players and asked in the press in the past that this is a long-term project. We're making steps every year to get to better outcomes and better solutions. Back a couple years ago, I said I think it's a 3 to 4 year project. Now I think it's like a 2 to 3 year project, or maybe, I would put it in the 2-year range. So we're thinking 2025, 2026, there'll be a significant update. But, for those stakeholders who are concerned about the immediacy, we certainly have conversations going on kind of getting to our end goal. And, on a yearly basis, we'll make any updates to tour approved targets. And I feel like in the long run, and like I said, 25, 26, 27, We're all striving for the same outcome, but there's just so many stakeholders in these conversations. We have to make sure we're taking it one step at a time. And I know not everybody can see behind the scenes, but everyone should know we're working diligently as a tour, and there's a reason that it takes a long time. Manufacturing timelines, partnerships, and we know that we're going the right direction, and it's a concern we want to address.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Let's look ahead. Let's look ahead to the World Championships. There's been so much effort
Yeah.
put in. Obviously,
Yeah.
you're from Vermont. There's a lot of people up there already working on the courses. How does it look? How does Brewster Ridge look? How does Fox Run look?
So they look great. There's been fantastic updates about 5 holes on both courses, but they're also very wet. Vermont, unfortunately, went through a pretty devastating flood about a month ago. The courses survived pretty well, but it's like record rain in Vermont. Everything's very wet. It's made it difficult to complete projects on time and make sure that the surfaces, especially on Brewster Ridge, are as durable and reinforced as possible. So, the crew up there is doing amazing things, bigger than ever. There's like dozens of people on the course every day, it feels like, as we strive to get the course into the perfect shape for the event. I guess that's the best course update in terms of conditions I can give you. But, we're feeling great about our timelines. The course is in competition layout, ready to be practiced in competition layout on this Friday. And right now you could go and basically play. It is in competition layout now. We do have one adjustment, the T of 1. We've always had a big sign next to the T of 1. That sign's been moved. We're repositioning the T of 1. Other than that, the course is in competition layout, and we're excited. I think next Monday, we'll have a lot of people practicing in the competition layout for Worlds. So
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. One last question for you. I see we have 6 cans of Barbasol on the table, and this is not because you need to shave the beard off. This is more because Barbasol has stepped up to be a sponsor of the playoffs and the Tour Championship, increasing their gift from last year at the Tour Championship. Talk about the partnership with Barbasol. How is that going, and does the future look bright?
Yeah, Barbasol is a great partner of the tour, coming back, expanding the partnership from year 1 to be our playoffs presenting partner as well as the Tour Championship. It's a match made in heaven. Disc golfers, when they get into the sport, love expressing themselves through creative dyes, and now we have a provider of the shaving cream that does that. Of course, everyone needs to shave some parts of their body, Brian. I personally myself use aloe. It's the green top, and I asked for all of these to be green topped aloe when I came up. So I don't know what happened there, Tom, but I am a user of Barbasol. I have been a user of Barbasol for years, and it just so happened to become a tour partner, which is great because it's a product I believe in and can get behind, and we really appreciate their support.
Well, Jeff, that's going to be all from you today. I'm sure you have a lot going on, so we'll let you go. Thank you so much. And tomorrow, round 1 begins. Folks, we will see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Brian.